introduce Adam Simpson. Let's enjoy together. And his topic is, title is, Inspiring Ways to View Adjectives Through the Eyes of Learners. Let's listen to him.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Okay, first of all, I'm really ill today. I know I look okay and everything, but I'm not. I'm taking lots of medicine, so I'm bouncing, but if I suddenly sort of fall over, I apologize in advance. So I'll try and be okay for the next hour. Hopefully everything will be fine. This is going to be a very practical session. I'm going to ask you to be discussing things together in groups. Also, I'll ask you to get up sometimes and write some things on boards or on paper. So please be ready. Okay, I know it's just before lunch and we're starting to feel a bit tired, but I'll ask for a little bit of energy from you from time to time. If we can work in two groups, that would be great. Can I ask? 8. If we could have two groups of 4. You don't have to sit next to each other, but sort of so that you can discuss things and you can ask and answer questions. That would be great. And in your little group, I need one person to act as a manager. Not a big responsibility, but all the handouts and the little bits of paper we need are going to be in this folder. So I just need one person to take control of this and do that. Okay, so can I give one to this side? And one over here. Did you see the check out here? Please help yourself at any time. If you want one, put your hand up, I'll bring them some to you. If you don't eat them, I will eat all of them, and I don't want to eat all of them. So. Okay. So thank you very much for coming. Okay, we're going to be working in groups, so that's it. So you can talk to them. All right. My abstract. Hello. Yeah, I chose this today because adjectives are a funny sort of thing in language teaching. They don't get the same amount of attention as verbs and nouns, and that's a lot to do with the way that we teach grammar. So, and I noticed this was an area that my students sometimes struggle with. Yeah? So you've got the famous author Mark Twain saying, get rid of them. Don't use adjectives. They cause too many problems. We've got the comedian Dennis Miller. He thinks they're wonderful things that we should admire. But I think maybe the best description is this one here, the banana peel of parts of speech. You know the idea of the banana peel? You tread on it. It's the thing that always causes us problems. So that's why I wanted to give this a bit of attention today. So I must first of all say a word of thanks to the British Council here in Turkey, who are very kindly sponsoring me to be here today. So if it all goes wrong, then you know who to blame as well. Okay. All right. So also, of course, the inspiration for this workshop today are the wonderful people in front of me in class every day, learners. We were talking about adjectives and how they use them, and these are some of the things that they said. Yeah. Teachers start very young these days. Yeah, so am I using the right adjective? I've got my noun, I think this works, so I'll stick that there, it'll be okay. What synonyms can I use? I don't like to take risks, I just use big, good, the very basic ones all the time. And I know my friends have knowledge that I don't, but I'm a bit scared to ask them or to share things like this in class. So these are just some of the ideas and some of the reasons I wanted to focus on this today. Okay, so we're going to try and do 4 activities today that I often use in class. Some of them might seem a little basic, a little simple, but I'll be talking about why I do them and perhaps why we overlook the opportunities and we don't always do them ourselves. Okay, so we've got our little envelopes for our groups. Oh, how many have we got now? Maybe we could make another group. That would be good, if there's 3 groups. Hello, gentlemen, welcome. Oh, sorry, I scared them off now. Sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. Let them sneak in and sit down, then I can start. Okay. Okay, so what have we got in our envelope? There should be a few things. If you could have a quick look. We should have, after how many years of teaching? I didn't have white hair when I started teaching. I've been teaching a long time. This is to help me keep organised and remember what we're doing in the workshop, and also to help you. So we've got like a running order of the 4 activities, and a few little handouts, little pieces of paper to, that we'll be using in some of the activities. So if you can check everything's in there, that would be great. So at this point, you might want to distribute to the group this paper here. Let's see. We're going to be doing a lot of small connections. Okay. We can share. Okay. If you just between the 2 of you, everything's in here. You'll get a hot So, do you have everything? Did I prepare well? I hope so. Okay, so how are we going to proceed? All right. So, like I said, we're going to do 4 activities in an hour, which might be quite difficult, but we've got a bit of a running order. So, we'll see a slide. It'll be the instructions, what I want us to do. When I think we're ready, we'll try doing it. And we'll do it for a few minutes. After we've finished, I'm going to say, okay, this is how I set it up. This is what I told you to do. That wasn't a very good idea, was it? Surely I can think of something better than that. Okay, so what I want to do is to get your ideas on how you could develop this activity, how you could do it in a different way. Hopefully we'll have time to discuss some of your ideas. And then I'm hoping at the end we're going to have 10 minutes, 15 minutes in which we can share our ideas and maybe write them down so I can take them away. But I'll explain more about that later on. You're thinking, oh no, we're going to have to do a lot of work here. Yeah. Okay, we'll start off with a very simple one, just before we do anything else. So, in the little envelope, can you find this piece of paper? And just for, I'm going to give you a very short amount of time, about 30 seconds. How many adjectives can you find in this paragraph? There's a very deliberate reason why I give you this paragraph. Okay? How are you doing? Did you find any?
No.
One's pretty good. Don't worry, you're not doing anything wrong if you can't find any. Really. Okay. Okay, this was my little warm-up activity that you were supposed to do while everybody was walking in, and I completely forgot about. So we're doing it now. We'll return to this later on, okay? Okay. So, not many. All right, that's good. We might find that this is typical of a lot of our learners. So it's something we're going to be thinking about again in a while. Okay. All right. please don't lose that little bit of paper. We will return to it later. Okay. Our first proper activity today. This is something I call the alien planet. I've been teaching since 2000 in Turkey, so this is 13 years going on 14 years now. Every year they stay the same age, every year I get older. But this is something I've used, I think, in nearly every class I've had. So I wanted to share it with you today. Okay. Okay, instructions. What are we going to do? So we're going to work in our little groups. So if you're ready. It's going to be a bit tricky. I was hoping for obviously a better workshop-y type room, but please work with it. Okay, this is what we've got. We're going to make a story. We're going to make one nice paragraph. I'm going to give you a set of questions to answer. Your answers will make a paragraph. Any answer is okay. Any answer you give. There's no correct answer, no wrong answer. Any answer you give is okay. And of course, if I were in class with my students, I'd walk around and maybe there's a word you can't find. You can do that, of course. If you can't think of the word, but I'm sure you can. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So, please number yourselves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, in your little group. Gentlemen at the back, you can be 1 and 2 if you want. 3. Okay. You don't strictly have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but just have an order in which you like to start.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'm looking.
With 2 groups now. Oh, okay.
2 groups. So, just so there is an order who is going to speak. All right? Now I'm going to put 10 sentences up on the board now. 10 sentences. So in your order, you're going to answer these. Any answer you give is okay. So, number 1, we'll start answering the first question. How long have you been on the planet? The second person will then answer the second question. And you continue like this. Any answer you give is okay. But try to follow on from the person before you. Okay, I'm going to give you, how many minutes would you like? 4 minutes, okay, to try and complete this? Okay, you can begin. Let's try. Yeah, okay. So in your group, you take turns to answer the questions.
Should we write or just read?
I would normally ask students to write this, but today we're going to just see.
It's not
You have to go somewhere.
I have to go
You
somewhere.
have to go somewhere. Yeah.
Sharing economies. Okay. And your emotions.
I was thinking.
By the way, if anybody has a laptop or something, they can stick this in. I have a copy of my presentation.
There's slideshows on the website of the.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you share your data?
Yes. Yes. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Okay. I had some nice answers, some interesting ones there. Okay. So. Okay, what kind of answers were you given? Can I just ask? Okay.
What kind of feedback?
What kind of
Especially
answers?
in conversation classes, in order to make them. That's it.
Conversation class, I guess.
I use it. I use this
Yeah.
in my classes.
Okay, has anybody used something like this before? I often get my students to use this in writing, actually, rather than speaking. But it can work quite well in speaking as well, because each question moves on to the next one, and it gives them something to sort of aim towards. Okay.
Could you speak a bit louder, please?
Creativity and thinking skills. I agree with you.
Okay. So would you use this for anything different? I mean, today I tried to blend some sort of grammar and some sort of adjective work in this. So we were saying, how long have you been here? Describe. So
Or you can give the beginning of a story, and then they make it longer. They make it, how can I say?
yeah.
They can change the things according to their minds and experiences also. They can tell them what their inner world
Yeah, yeah.
also.
This is great. It just brings out so much language. They say, oh, teacher, I want to describe this thing. What's the word for doing this? You know, it really just draws out so much new language. It's really quite incredible.
I could have done it maybe in a smaller group, or go from the story to the questions, make the students write down the questions on their own according to a passage on the book or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
You can put loads more things into this. Like for example, I scramble questions sometimes, and they have to like,
yeah.
you know, if you want to focus, if you've been focusing on simple past questions, you can just put the words in different order. They have to make the questions first and then answer the questions. You can extend it in lots of different ways. Here's just a few other things that I've done with this. Okay. So yeah, you can use it at various different levels. Say, you know, you can just make all the questions in the simple past. When did you arrive? Why did you leave your friends? Or some, if you're focusing on particular grammar points, parallel past continuous, while you were doing this, what was happening? I was being followed by something. So it's really open to a lot of grammar as well as adjective work.
Relative clauses, adjectival clauses, yeah.
It's anything that you want in there, really. Okay, so as we're going on through this, on this bit of paper, if you've got any ideas that you note down, I might ask you to share them with me at the end. If you don't, that's okay as well, but this is just to keep things in mind.
Can we have one more?
Of course. Okay, so that was the first activity, and like I say, it's an old favourite of mine. I've used it in many different situations. It's very flexible. You can use it for lots of different grammar, and you can also use it for speaking, adjective work, as I was saying today. All right, let's move on to the second one. Okay. Finding adjectives in the classroom. Okay, we're going to do two very short things here, actually. Does this look familiar to you? Does anybody know this book? Sure. Does anybody not know this book? I think is a better question. All right. So what's the basic idea of activities like this?
We use the correct form of
Yeah, exactly. All right. Take my verb, stick it in the gap. I finished, teacher. I erase it. Next week I do it again. Fill in the gaps. And I always see this as really quite a lost opportunity, actually. So, okay. So in our little folder again, there should be a piece of paper. It will be called either 53.1 or 53.6. 56. Okay, 56.3, 56.1. This is a totally random gap fill taken from a book. I can't even remember which book. I think it's Essential Grammar in Use. If you're really interested. Okay. Okay, so I look at this and I think, okay, great, gap fill. You're showing some knowledge of the grammar. What else can I do with this? Okay. Don't just accept that as being the only thing we can do. That's really quite a lost opportunity if we're using things like this in the classroom. So, does everybody have one?
Yeah.
Okay. Look at your example gap fills. Gap fills. The medicine's starting to wear off, I think, unfortunately. Okay, for every noun you see, find 3 adjectives to describe it. Okay, and then explain to the people in your group what you found, and see if you come up with different answers. Okay. Okay, so what's our first sentence? 56.1 or 56.3? Can somebody read out?
Shall I open the
It's
window?
about exercise type. Are you finding 3 adjectives about the type of exercise?
Okay, I'll explain
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Okay, sorry, you said the...
Oh, the sentence?
Yeah, it is.
Shall I open the window?
Shall I open the window? So we've got the noun window.
Yeah.
How can we describe that noun window? What words can we use?
Color.
Okay. The big window,
Yeah.
okay, the
Dirty.
dirty window. Okay, for example, like this. So it's just as simple as this. Every time we see a noun, can we find 2 words, 3 words to describe it? Okay. Okay, were you able to do that? Fairly simple. Is that something you've ever done with your students? No, it's something I didn't think of doing, and I thought, well, why not? Okay, because we're doing this capital, and I'll teach you this is quite boring, you know, we just fill it in. But okay, well, let's use it for something else. And I said, oh yes, why not? So it's just a way of getting the learners to think, well, okay, the language in this book, it's not just like unnatural, it's just not for me to plug this word into this. So you can actually sort of give it some more context and more meaning to themselves. Okay, that's one very simple thing that we can do. All right. So we can use our books in a slightly different way. This is something we can start doing in class on Monday, if we're in class on Monday. Another thing we can do, okay, is to look at the room itself. Okay, so looking at objects in the room and using them to develop our use of adjectives. Okay. And again, this is a very simple one that we can do any day that we want. Alright, so I'm just going to give you an example this time on the screen. And I'm going to give you 5 adjectives to describe something in this room. Okay. If you think you know what it is, you can shout out anything. Okay. Alright, it's big.
Screen, stage,
Screen. Okay, it's big. Let's see another word to see if you're correct. It's white.
walls,
Oh, very good. You changed your minds, you see. Big and white. That was useful. Very useful.
still screen.
Still the screen. Okay.
Still the desk.
So you're making a semantic set in your mind of different words that all describe one thing.
Bigger than one, wider than
Okay.
one.
Rectangular. And it's clean. Yeah, okay, it's quite clean. All right, so you were correct on the first one, but then of course you start building a bigger semantic set to connect. So you start sort of thinking of all these words together. Okay, it's something very simple that you can do on a daily basis. Students really like this. It's just a very sort of quick activity, but it keeps the words coming together in their mind. And of course, we can now reverse engineer this. Here he is. Hello. Okay. What is this? Word marker. Okay. And let's go the other way. Instead of having the words, now we need to find 5 words to describe that. Colour.
Cylindrical.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Students don't often come up with cylindrical. That's a good one. Okay. Cylindrical. 3 more. Smelly. Can be.
Empty.
Often empty. Yes. Useless. Useful. All right. Okay.
Refillable.
Not refillable. Wow. Refillable. Don't know how useful these words will be for students on a day-to-day basis, but it's all good. They're all teaching opportunities. Okay. So these are a couple of really quick things that we can do on a daily basis. It takes up 1 minute of class time, but it keeps them thinking and putting words together in a new way. Okay, so use your classroom, use your books, use these whenever you can. Okay, I have to get a little bit of a move on if I want to give us time at the end. Oh, okay. Okay. One more suggestion I have. Classroom language. We can tailor this specifically. Okay, teacher, what book are we using? Okay, we are using the interesting book, the interesting course book, the red course book. So we can always sort of get them to use language like this. Maybe you can say one day of the week we're going to focus on adjectives. Every Friday, if you ask me a question, you have to use an adjective in your question. Okay. So just another opportunity for using the classroom setting itself. Okay, on to number 3. Okay, so any coursebook, any unit of the coursebook will have a list of words somewhere, or there'll be a little box. There's a big thing here, but I don't know when I'm unplugging it. Okay, so any coursebook will have a big list of words, and this is another opportunity that we can use. Okay. In the envelope now, there should be paper put together, a strip of words. Okay, could you distribute these? Among yourself? Yeah. I try not to do this too often. It's very fiddly as a teacher cutting up words like this, but I made a special effort for us today. Similarly to how we looked at English grammar in use, and we refused to just accept the grammar gap fill, we used something different. We're going to be thinking about word lists and boxes of vocabulary in course books, and how we can exploit these a bit more as well. Has everybody got a strip? Everybody have one? Alright, before we start that, I'm going to give a practical demonstration of what we're going to do. Can everyone see that? Nice and big. Mountain. Fantastic. Okay.
What Egypt is that?
What kind of mountain can we have?
Snow-capped Egypt.
Beautiful. Snow-capped?
Snow-capped mountain.
Snow-capped. Okay, you win with that. That's the best one.
Steep mountain.
Steep. Fantastic.
Treacherous.
High. Wow, treacherous. Okay.
Range mountain. Famous mountain.
Famous mountain. You guys are great.
Wuthering.
I wish you were in my class every day. All right.
High.
Okay. So you get the idea. It's very simple. Now, in your group, you've each got a noun. Think about the order you were going with before in that. Person number one holds up their noun and gives an adjective. Person number two has to give a different adjective to describe that. So in your group, however many you are, 5, 4, you're going to have to give a different adjective to describe this. After everybody has a turn, person number two holds up theirs and you repeat the process. Okay? Let's try this for 3 minutes. Should be enough. Much better social writing. So, you start, everybody gives an adjective. After everybody gives, then
Station. Ground station, yeah.
Ground station.
The last word stations.
Sounds terrible for the station. It erodes that feeling. Gloomy station. Yes, it is. It should be gloomy. I'm not. Summer.
Oh,
Summer.
inspirational.
I miss it now.
Sensational summer.
Tall.
Okay, fantastic. It's wonderful language coming out here. Beautiful. Okay. So that was quite a simple activity. I took, say, 5 words from a word list and we sort of collocated them. I think this is a word that our students struggle to come up with. Okay, yeah, we collocated. And we discussed some, is that okay if we use this word a bit? There was some nice discussion. This sort of really sort of builds up the student's language. Can I use this word with this noun? I'm not sure, teacher. Yes, yes, you can. So it's good for sort of exploring adjective noun collocations. Okay. Do you have any other ways we could do this?
It would be appropriate if they wrote that and changed the pieces.
Yeah.
Maybe we can also, for example, call a student into the class, in front of the class, and we can ask other students what do they think about him, his personal qualities, and also physical.
I hope they like him. We need to find a handsome person that people like.
Can we extend the activity by using the opposites of the adjective?
Great idea.
Opposites.
Yeah.
So we can teach double.
Fantastic idea.
Yeah.
What do you do if they use an inappropriate adjective that doesn't quite carry this?
Make a note. Say, okay, you said this. Does it really work? No, it doesn't. It just doesn't work. So it's all an opportunity, really.
Using context.
Yeah. Like I said, if you take these from a word list, or there's a vocab activity and they're in a little box, then they can say, okay, look, that's how they use it in the book. We've come up with some more ideas of how to use this word. So it just reinforces, sorry.
With any of these, if you align adjectives, use several, it raises the question of the right appropriate order,
Yeah,
which is quite difficult.
I can see it. But again, that's a good point as well. Yeah. That's a really good opportunity with this if they're talking about size, colour, and how do we order adjectives. Because that always comes up in a course book or somewhere along the way. This would probably be a good activity to do at that point. Okay, beautiful, thank you. Okay, so we looked at that actually. Sometimes I can do this as a whole class activity, which, depending on the level, it can be quite intimidating, and depending on the number of students in the class. If I have about 10 students, which I sometimes do, it can be quite challenging when you get to the 10th person. Oh, teacher, how can I come up with another adjective after all this? So, depending on the class, it's something you can do. And of course, all of these activities, you can adapt them and say, well, here's an adjective, what nouns go with this? So you can swap it around the other way. I mean, I've called this session about adjectives, but you can just as easily do it with a verb or with a noun or an adverb as well. Okay, on to the final activity today. Okay, this is called Uncover the Sentence. Do you remember the first paragraph I gave you?
Yes.
We had to find the adjectives. And we didn't find very many, did we?
I found very many. Possessive adjectives.
Oh, possessives. Yeah. I didn't include those today. Although it's perfectly valid. There's an American writer called Raymond Carver. He was quite a famous short story writer. Does anybody know his work? Yeah. He had a style called dirty realism. And the big sort of defining characteristic of this was that he didn't use many adjectives. He kind of left everything to your imagination. He wrote a very basic sentence, but you could interpret it with a lot of meaning. So this is actually one of his paragraphs. I haven't changed it in any way. There are very, very few adjectives, so you get a sense of his style of writing. Now, he was a very good writer. He's dead now, I think. But obviously, when our students do the same thing, and don't put many adjectives in, it doesn't have quite the same effect usually. So they have to go on the uncovering process of not using so few adjectives. Okay, so these are the ones I found, but of course I've forgot the possessive adjectives as well. So yeah, okay. I just went for the straight, obvious ones. That's quite a good one to point out because they always quite often get that wrong, especially with the age. I'm a 40 years old man, rather than using it as a 40-year-old. Of course, if we take the adjective out of this sentence, there is no sentence really, so he had to use some, despite his style. Okay, so this is something I often use for peer editing. If my learners have written a paragraph, and I'm like, well, this is nice, and grammatically we've done a good job, but not quite as interesting, not quite as descriptive as I would like. So, on your little paragraph, you can find 5 bold words.
Man, life, station,
Man, life, station. Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
This man?
And if we think of the activity we just did with the little script, what I'd like to do now, for the final one, is uncover it. Where we've got a noun that's just like this man. Okay, what kind of man? Who was he? How can we sort of describe him a bit better? So, in your group, look at the scripts you've got, and look at where that noun is in the paragraph, and think, what adjective can I best use in that noun? In your group, you can come to a decision. So, how are we going to describe this man with an adjective? When you make a decision, can you write it on the strip of paper and stick it on here? Let me bring this under to me. Okay. So what kind of man is he? When you make your decision, write it on the paper and kind of stick it on here. And you can do the same for the 5 nouns. In your group, decide which word you like best.
He's heartbroken, man.
What's his wife?
Thank you. I like meat.
I don't think it's
Let's eat sweet and salty.
Okay, when you decide on your favourite adjective, please come and sit down. It's heartbroken. Fantastic. And you can do the same for the others.
Heartbroken man.
Heartbroken.
For number 2, what? What's the adjective? Gentleman, station, and house. Station, what kind of station?
Of course, there's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer.
Someone needs one for wife. Look at this. What kind of wife?
Imitation job.
Beautiful. Okay.
New station.
It's an old station. Nearby station, nearby.
I was looking for that earlier, I just found it. Okay, how are we doing? Sweltering for my house. All right, fantastic. Noisy section, faithful wife. Like I said, there's no wrong answer to any of this. Just looking at the context of the paragraph, what do we think made sense? Heartbroken man, strange man, summer house, old house, sweltering summer, long summer, noisy station sentence, beautiful, unfaithful wife. Okay, so this can take our story in many different directions, depending on the words we use. Okay, what do we do here? Oh, look at that. We're going to hold this. Let's see. Okay. This makes a nice transition from, say, working, maybe the student will work alone or they'll work in a group, and we can bring the ideas together and get a whole class discussion going on. Which do we think is the most appropriate way of modifying this now? So, also, I managed to get you up and moving around a bit. We can sit from here and out. So, thank you very much for these fantastic ideas. So yeah, we can prepare a paragraph ourselves. We can look at a paragraph the students has written. I used the one from this story. If you're interested in this story, it's called Cathedral. I read a story of a blind man going to visit a woman of some description. Maybe she's unfaithful, maybe she's kind. Beautiful.
Maybe.
Okay. Is there anything else you think you could do with an activity like this?
Storytelling. Storytelling.
Yeah. We could even return to our alien planet story and revise it after doing something like this.
Building up the end of the story.
Okay. So like I said, yeah, this is something to sort of, even if we're going to do peer editing, let's look at some words that you could change, some words you could add, then you could give that feedback to another student in class. Okay. And we started talking about antonyms, opposites. Maybe this is a good way to sort of introduce some synonyms. Okay, you've used the word beautiful. Are there any other words we know that are like beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, that they're not using or they're not so familiar with? It's a good way of introducing synonyms as well. All right, thank you very much, fantastic. We have about 10 minutes left now. We've done 4 activities. We've got a sheet with sort of a very basic description of them. What I'd really like you to do, if there's any idea in your head, I mean, I've been asking you for a little bit of feedback after each one, but if there's a way you take this differently, I've kind of put papers around the walls here. Could I ask you, in this next few minutes, to sort of go and write up any idea you have, any way that you can take the activity in a different way. It can be as crazy as you want, it can be as simple as you want. Great. How much time do we have? 7 minutes. We only have 7 minutes to do this. Okay. Another important thing, in the envelope, I'd like your name and your email address, please. As big and clear as possible, because I'm getting old and I can't read as well as I used to. Because I'd like to take any ideas that you have about this, put them all together, and then make a nice document and email it out to you. Okay, so to extend sort of what we'll do in this session, make it more beneficial to you. And I'm going to create sort of, I've done this workshop once before. I'm probably going to do it one more time at my school. So I'm going to collect lots of ideas together. I'm going to publish it as an ebook, but I'd like to send it all out to you as well. So if you have any ideas, please write them on these papers with your name. Then your name will be in the ebook as well. These are my contact details. Okay, I have a blog, teachthemenglish.com. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and that's my email address. So please contact me anytime. No hate mail, please.
Shall I try and
That would be great, yeah.